Ever wonder why some people walk into a room and everyone just gravitates toward them while you're over there practicing small talk in the mirror like you're preparing for a job interview with your own reflection? Well, plot twist, charisma isn't some mystical superpower you're born with. It's actually a collection of psychological tricks that scientists have been studying for decades. And today, I'm about to turn you into the main character of every social situation you walk into. Buckle up, because these 10 research-backed techniques are about to transform you from Wallflower to Room-Dominator faster than you can say confident eye contact. Trick number 1, the power pose hack. Here's something wild. Your body language doesn't just communicate confidence to others, it literally tricks your own brain into feeling more powerful. Harvard researcher Amy Cuddy found that standing in a confident pose for just 2 minutes can literally trick your brain into feeling more powerful. We're talking Wonder Woman, hands on hips, Superman, chest out kind of poses. Your hormones actually shift when you do this. Testosterone goes up, cortisol goes down, and suddenly you're not just acting confident, you are confident. It's like lying to yourself, but in the best possible way. Think of it as method acting, except you're playing the role of someone who has their life together. The beauty of this trick is you can literally do it in a bathroom stall before any important interaction. 2 minutes of power posing, and you'll walk out feeling like you could negotiate world peace or at least successfully order at a fancy restaurant without stumbling over the pronunciation. But wait, there's a psychological phenomenon that's even more powerful than faking confidence. Trick number 2, the mirroring magic. This one's so sneaky, people won't even realize you're doing it. Behavioral research shows that mirroring and matching, copying other people's body language, mannerisms, and repeating their words helps build trust and establishes rapport. When someone leans in, you lean in. When they cross their arms, you subtly do the same. When they speak slowly and thoughtfully, you match that energy. Your brain is basically hardwired for this stuff. Research shows that most of us naturally mirror others' facial expressions and postures to some extent without even realizing it. But here's the kicker. When you do it consciously and skillfully, people will literally describe you as more caring, intelligent, and attractive. It's like social chemistry, except you're the one controlling the formula. The key is subtlety. You want to be a social chameleon, not a creepy copycat. Wait a few seconds before mirroring, and don't mirror everything. Think of yourself as a jazz musician. You're riffing off their melody, not playing it note for note. Speaking of playing the right notes, here's a vocal technique that'll make people hang on every word you say. Trick number 3 is the pause that pays. Most people are terrified of silence in conversation, so they fill every gap with like, or just more words. But charismatic people, they've mastered the strategic pause. When you pause before answering a question, you signal that you're thoughtful and deliberate. When you pause mid-sentence for emphasis, you create anticipation. It's the difference between being a fire hose of information and being a master storyteller. Think about it. When someone pauses dramatically before delivering a punchline, don't you lean in a little? That's the power of controlled silence. You're not stalling for time, you're creating space for impact. Practice this while you're alone. Ask yourself a question out loud, then pause for 2 full seconds before answering. It'll feel like an eternity at first, but those 2 seconds translate to gravitas in real conversations. You'll go from rapid-fire rambler to composed conversationalist. Now, if you really want to mess with people's minds, let's talk about the vulnerability paradox. Trick number 4 is strategic vulnerability. Here's something that sounds completely backwards. Showing carefully chosen weaknesses makes you more influential, not less. One of the magical skills of charismatic people is choosing when to be vulnerable, which makes them more human and relatable to the people they wish to bond with. We're not talking about trauma dumping on a first meeting. We're talking about strategic authenticity. Share a small struggle you've overcome. Admit when you don't know something, or tell a story where you weren't the hero. People connect with humans, not highlight reels. When you show you're not perfect, paradoxically, people trust you more. It's like social aikido. You disarm people by not trying to appear invulnerable. The trick is in the timing and the stakes. Share something personal enough to be real, but not so heavy that it shifts the entire mood. Think, I used to be terrified of public speaking, rather than, I haven't slept in 3 days because of my existential crisis. Balance is everything. But here's where things get really interesting, because there's a way to make people feel like the star of their own show. Trick number 5 is the name game revolution. Using someone's name in conversation isn't just polite, it's neurologically addictive. When people hear their own name, their brain literally lights up with pleasure. But most people either forget names immediately or use them awkwardly, like they're reading from a script. The secret is to use names naturally and strategically throughout the conversation, not just at the beginning and end. That's a great point, Sarah. It's different than just, that's a great point. You're not just agreeing with their idea, you're making them feel seen and acknowledged as an individual. Now here's the advanced move. Remember something specific about them from a previous conversation and tie it to their name. Michael, how did that presentation go? Even if it's been weeks, they'll be impressed that you remembered. You've just transformed from person I met that one time to person who actually pays attention to my life. And speaking of paying attention, let's dive into the eye contact technique that creates instant chemistry. Trick 6, the triangle technique. Staring directly into someone's eyes for an entire conversation is intense, bordering on serial killer vibes. But avoiding eye contact altogether makes you seem disinterested or dishonest. The solution? The triangle technique. Imagine a triangle between their two eyes and their mouth, and shift your gaze naturally between these 3 points. This creates the feeling of strong eye contact without the uncomfortable intensity. It's intimate enough to show you're engaged, but natural enough to keep things comfortable. Professional speakers use this technique to make eye contact with entire audiences. They look at different sections of the triangle as they scan the room. The timing matters too. Hold eye contact when they're making an important point, when you're asking a question, and when you're delivering your most impactful statements. It's like punctuation for your face. It adds emphasis exactly where you need it. Now, here's a trick that'll make people feel like they've known you forever. Trick 7, the emotional matching method. Chai et al. Propose that charisma comprises 2 interpersonally focused dimensions: influence, or the ability to guide other people, and affability, or the ability to make others feel comfortable and at ease. The fastest way to master both? Match people's emotional energy, then gradually guide it where you want it to go. If someone's excited about something, match their enthusiasm before adding your own perspective. If they're concerned about a problem, acknowledge that concern with appropriate seriousness before offering solutions. You're not being fake, you're being emotionally intelligent. Think of yourself as an emotional DJ. You can't just drop a hard bass track when people are in a mellow mood. You have to read the room, match the energy, then gradually shift the vibe. Once people feel like you get their emotional state, they'll follow your lead to wherever you want to take the conversation. But what if you could make people feel heard without saying a single word? Enter the active listening superpower. Trick 8, the validation loop. Most people listen just enough to formulate their own response. Charismatic people listen to understand, then reflect back what they heard before adding their own thoughts. It's the difference between waiting for your turn to talk and actually engaging with someone's ideas. The formula is simple. It's, so what I'm hearing is, followed by a summary of their main point, followed by, is that right? This does 2 things. It shows you are actually paying attention, and it gives them a chance to clarify if you missed something. People will literally say you're a great conversationalist just for proving you are listening. Here's the bonus round. When you reflect back their ideas, slightly elevate the language. If they say, "I'm frustrated with my job," you might reflect back, "It sounds like you're feeling undervalued in your current role." You're not changing their meaning, you're helping them articulate their thoughts more clearly. And if you want to take social influence to the next level, here's a persuasion technique that feels like magic. Trick number 9, the because phenomenon. Humans are hardwired to look for reasons, even when the reasons are completely arbitrary. Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer discovered that people are significantly more likely to comply with requests when you include the word because, even what follows because is essentially meaningless. "Can I cut in line?" gets rejected most of the time. "Can I cut in line because I need to make copies?" gets accepted way more often, even though everyone in line at the copy machine probably needs to make copies. The word because signals that there's logic behind your request, so people's brains relax and go along with it. Use this in everyday interactions. I'd love to get your thoughts on this because you always have interesting perspectives. Could we schedule this meeting for Thursday because it would work better with everyone's workflow? You're not manipulating, you're giving people the psychological comfort of understanding your reasoning. And finally, here's the ultimate charisma cheat code that ties everything together. Trick number 10, the genuine interest amplifier. This is where all the other tricks become effortless. Actually care about the people you're talking to. Charisma is a personal quality, evident in the way someone communicates to others, that makes someone more influential. This power to attract attention and influence people can be embodied in the way someone speaks, what someone says, and how someone looks when communicating. When you're genuinely curious about someone's thoughts, experiences, and perspectives, all the other techniques happen naturally. You automatically mirror their energy because you're engaged. You ask better questions because you actually want to know the answers. You remember details because they matter to you. The irony of charisma is that the more you focus on making others feel interesting, important, and understood, the more magnetic you become. It's not about being the most fascinating person in the room. It's about making everyone else feel fascinating when they're talking to you. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you don't want to miss them.